For most of human history, when we looked up at the night sky, we saw the stars, we knew about the planets in our own little neighborhood, and, well, that was pretty much it. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the absolutely incredible story of how, in just a few short decades, we went from knowing about 8 planets to discovering a universe overflowing with thousands of new worlds. It really is the biggest question you can ask, isn't it? It's the one that has driven so much of our science, our philosophy, our best stories for centuries. Are we just some cosmic fluke? Or is the galaxy absolutely teeming with life, just waiting for us to find it?
For the longest time, that question was pure speculation. I mean, we had tons of theories, but zero actual data. And then, in 1995, a couple of astronomers made an announcement that didn't just add a new piece to the puzzle, it basically flipped the whole puzzle board over and told us to start again.
Yeah, this wasn't just any planet. This was the one that kicked off the entire revolution.
So, let me introduce you to 51 Pegasi b. Back in 1995, two Swiss astronomers, Michel Mayer and Didier Queloz, were looking at a star about 50 light-years away, and they found something that honestly just shouldn't have been there. A massive gas giant, about half the size of our own Jupiter, whipping around its star in a mind-blowing 4.2 days. Just for perspective, our fastest planet, Mercury, takes 88 days to make one lap. This was so bizarre, so completely against everything we thought we knew about how planets form, that a lot of people were skeptical. But it was real. And for proving it, they'd eventually go on to win the Nobel Prize. So this discovery didn't just give us a new planet. It created an entirely new category of planet. 51 Pegasi b became the poster child for what we now call hot Jupiters. These are these huge, scorching gas giants parked right up next to their parent stars. We had no idea worlds like this could even exist. It was the first real proof that our own solar system wasn't the only blueprint out there. Not even close. And that one impossible planet, it blew the floodgates wide open. Since 1995, the number of known exoplanets has absolutely exploded. We are now over 5,500 confirmed worlds, and that number goes up all the time. What we've learned is that most stars probably have planets, and rocky planets like our own are actually common. The universe is just so much stranger and so much more crowded than we ever imagined. Once we really started finding these worlds, we realized we hadn't just discovered a few new dots on a map. No, we'd stumbled upon an entire cosmic zoo, filled with the most unbelievable creatures you can imagine. For example, if exoplanets had a high school yearbook, J1407b would without a doubt win Best Dressed. It's been nicknamed a Super Saturn, and for good reason. It has a ring system that is a staggering 200 times larger than Saturn's. I mean, can you picture that? If our Saturn had rings that big, they would dominate our night sky, appearing many times larger than a full moon. Just incredible. Then you have the most eccentric, a planet called HD20782b. Its orbit is less of a circle and more of a slingshot. It dives in incredibly close to its star, gets absolutely cooked, and then gets flung way out into the freezing cold depths of its system. The temperature swings must be just insane, probably creating weather that would make Jupiter storms look like a gentle spring drizzle. And maybe for best hair, we've got ZC Ceti b. Now, why best hair? Because this little rocky world might have its own magnetic field, and that is a huge deal. A magnetic field is like a planetary force field. It's a crucial shield that protects the atmosphere and the surface from being blasted away by radiation from its star. It's one of the key ingredients that makes Earth a habitable place for us. So, of course, finding all these wild and crazy worlds inevitably leads us to the holy grail of this whole search. Can we find another Earth? After seeing how strange things can get out there, the big question became, can we find one that feels like home? The first place astronomers look is what's called the habitable zone. You've probably heard it called the Goldilocks zone, and that really is the perfect name for it. It's that sweet spot in a solar system where a planet is orbiting at just the right distance for liquid water to potentially exist on its surface. Not so close that it all boils away, and not so far that it freezes solid. So to narrow things down, the basic recipe for a planet that might be friendly to life starts with two main things. First, it's got to be small and rocky. You need a solid surface, right? Not a gas giant. And second, its orbit has to put it right inside that special habitable zone. And based on that recipe, we have found some incredible candidates. There's Kepler 186f, which was the very first Earth-sized world we found in the habitable zone. Then you have the TRAPPIST-1e system, an unbelievable 7 rocky planets orbiting a single star.
or one of them, TRAPPIST-1e, looks like a great bet for holding water. And there's Kepler 452b, often called Earth's cousin, since it orbits a star a lot like our own sun. But the most tempting, and maybe the most challenging one of all, is our closest exoplanet neighbor, Proxima Centauri b.
And this is where that simple recipe starts to get really, really complicated. Because as it turns out, being in the right place is just the beginning of the story. I mean, on paper, Proxima b looks fantastic. It's really close to us, just over 4 light years away. It has about the same mass as Earth, and it's right in the habitable zone. Check, check, check. But then you look at the cons, and whoa. It orbits a red dwarf star, which is a small, angry, and volatile type of star. This means it gets blasted with extreme radiation, and it's probably tidally locked. So let's break that down. Tidal locking means one side of the planet is permanently facing its star in a scorching, endless day, while the other side is trapped in a frozen, perpetual night. On top of that, its star is known for throwing these violent temper tantrums, intense flares that could literally strip away the planet's atmosphere and sterilize the surface. And even if it had water in the first place, the star's super bright youth probably boiled it all away billions of years ago. So it's a tough place to live.
And this is such a crucial lesson in the search for life. It's summed up perfectly in this quote from a scientific paper. Water in a spectrum is not an unambiguous sign of habitability. And that's it right there. Finding an ingredient for life, like water, is one thing. But finding a stable, safe environment where life can actually get a foothold and thrive, that's a completely different and much, much harder challenge. But here's the amazing part. Despite all these challenges, the search is really just getting started, and the tools that we're using to investigate these distant worlds are becoming unbelievably powerful. We started with planet hunters like the Kepler Space Telescope. Its mission was basically to take a census of the galaxy, and it proved that planets like ours are common. Now we have the James Webb Space Telescope, which can actually sniff the atmospheres of these planets, looking for the chemical fingerprints of water, methane, and other key molecules. And coming up next, we have these ground-based, extremely large telescopes that promise to one day maybe even give us our first direct picture of one of these Earth-like worlds. We are truly at an inflection point in our journey of discovery. We have moved past the question of, are there other planets out there? We know the answer is a resounding yes. The next great chapter, the next grand adventure, is all about understanding what those planets are actually like. We started this whole journey with one impossible planet that changed astronomy forever. Now, with more than 5,500 new worlds on the map and the technology to study them in breathtaking detail, we're left to wonder, what's going to be the next discovery that changes everything? The first signs of a breathable atmosphere on a rocky world? The confirmation of a vast alien ocean? Or will it be something else entirely? Something just as strange and unexpected as that very first hot Jupiter?